Hi, I'm Georgina and you're listening to Unstill Life. Grab a drink, get comfy, maybe you're painting, maybe you're procrastinating. Either way, we're going to talk about art, the world, and everything in between. So let's talk about Alana O'Brien, the Instagram influencer who looks like she stepped straight out of a Renaissance painting. You've probably seen her before, that sort of golden light, almost porcelain-like skin with the reddish cheeks, that kind of hazy oil paint glow that feels like straight out of an old master studio. She has the kind of face Caravaggio would have lost his mind over, let's just put it that way. And for a while that was her whole thing. People online called her the girl who looks like art, you know? Artists literally drew her, painted her, maybe even sculpted her. There were thousands, like literally thousands of fan artworks floating around the internet for months. She was the internet's muse, purely because she had the rare mix of timeless beauty and digital mystery. And what's so interesting about it is how we, the audience, the artists, collectively turned her into a symbol. She became this living, breathing Renaissance fantasy and a reminder of when art meant something. And people love that, because we're all kind of nostalgic for a time when beauty felt intentional, with the brushstrokes, composition, chiaroscuro. There were no filters, no cameras. It was all very pure. Alana became this sort of antidote to everything that felt too digital and too online-y, and she represented like what was real, even though she existed entirely online. But here's where it gets really ironic. The same people who made her a muse, painted her, admired her, etc, etc, were doing it out of love for art and humanity, and for something handmade, you know, as we do. But now, that same muse has partnered with Meta AI. Like, of course she did. Of course the girl who looked like art would eventually become a face for the machine that mimics it. It's kind of poetic, actually. We built her up as a human embodiment of classical beauty, and now she's collaborating with the very thing trying to replace it. So the question becomes, what happens when the muse stops inspiring the artists and starts collaborating with the algorithm instead? So here's where things get weird. A few months after the whole Renaissance girl hype, Alana announced a partnership with Meta AI. Basically, she's part of a campaign where influencers use Meta's new AI tools, whether that's generating captions, visuals, filters, personas. It's basically a part of their creative content, which on paper sort of sounds harmless, right? Tech is meeting creativity, the usual future of art tagline. But in her case, it's very ironic because Alana didn't get famous for being futuristic. She got famous for being timeless, for being this living, breathing callback to when art was human, where beauty came from imperfection, and now she's aligned with something that's literally synthetic. It's like the muse became the machine, the symbol of everything real just merged with everything artificial. And honestly, I think it's the perfect 2025 metaphor. The influencer who looked like she belonged in a 16th century portrait is now partnering with one of the biggest tech companies in the world to promote AI. You couldn't script this. But what I think it really says is that we're at this cultural breaking point where even the people who represent humanity online don't feel the need to protect it anymore. Like, if even the Renaissance girl is teaming up with AI, who is also an artist by the way, what hope do the rest of us have for keeping art human? Because this isn't just a brand deal, it's a symbol and a reminder that the line between art and advertisement, muse and marketing, human and machine, is getting blurrier every single day. As you can probably guess, people weren't happy. When she announced Meta AI's partnership, the comment sections exploded. This wasn't just any influencer collaboration, she had literally built her entire image on being the muse of the people. As I said, artists painted her, sketched her, made her fan art for free. She literally has a highlight on her Instagram, or multiple highlights at that, for fan art. She's surrounded by thousands of artworks that other people had made by hand, again, for free. They gave her this myth and then made her look like an art incarnate. And then when she turned around and partnered with an AI company, a company that's been criticised for scraping artists' work without consent, people felt genuinely betrayed. And rightly so. But instead of actually addressing it, she sort of just deflected. Her responses were basically, it's a money thing. She said she took the deal because influencing doesn't pay that well, which, okay, let's pause there. This is someone who's worked with Vogue. She's done fashion campaigns, luxury shoots, probably brand partnerships for her clothing. She's not exactly hustling 3 side jobs to pay rent, you know what I mean? Influencing might not be a stable career, I fully agree with that, But it's definitely not an I had no choice but to partner with big tech situation. And I think that's what really made it sting, because this was just about convenience. It was her first big break in the influencer career after all. But it wasn't a I need to live situation, it was I'll take this because it fits my aesthetic. She could literally turn herself into a Renaissance painting whenever she wanted. What really frustrated me personally, since this was very targeted at me, I'm not gonna lie, she literally DM'd me, but she tried to justify it by saying digital art is controversial too, like that somehow made AI ethics a non-issue, which just doesn't make sense. That's just influencer logic, I believe, where everything becomes abstract and neutral, as long as it looks pretty on the feed, you know, it doesn't matter. And when I sort of discussed this with her in DMs, she sort of ended it on like, this is who I am, I do ads and I do marketing, as if that's authenticity in itself, as if selling out, although she said she's not selling out is self-expression now. And I think that's what really frustrated everyone, not just the partnership, but it was also the detachment from those who built her platform. The lack of self-awareness, like you became famous for looking like something sacred, and now you're defending an AI brand with the same tone you used to post skincare routines. It's also like, I don't even know. There's no acknowledgement that she's profiting off of the same creative community she just helped undermine. It's the influencer paradox in real time. Everything is content, even controversy becomes this aesthetic. I'd like to note that she did say, oh, it's another thing that's being added to the cancel culture book. When you try to hold someone accountable, they just wrap it in another caption about staying true to yourself. And maybe that is like what hurts the most as an artist, is not that she partnered with AI, but that she made it sound like selling out was just part of the art. This isn't really about just Alana, like one influencer as a whole. It's about what she represents and how easily we turn real people into symbols. Because we didn't just like her, we mythologized her. We called her the girl who looks like art, the human painting, the Renaissance Muse. We projected meaning onto her, made her the perfect face for nostalgia, and then she did what most symbols eventually do, sold the symbol back to us. The muse who inspired painters now uses machine inspiration for profit, you know? The person who embodied everything real and handmade now represents a system that automates beauty itself. It's almost poetic in how cynical it is, because it shows how art, culture and commerce have fully merged. We don't just romanticize people anymore, we completely brand them and consume them. And maybe that's like what's really uncomfortable about this whole thing, is it forces us to look at how complicit we are too, and how quickly we build someone up because they remind us of something pure, and how fast we feel betrayed when they remind us that purity doesn't exist online, because it doesn't, let's be real for a second. I think in the end we're not looking for muses anymore, we're looking for the aesthetic archetypes, something to project our longing onto, because everything moves so fast we need something timeless, but still keep up with trends, obviously. It really makes me question, why did we need her to be something she never was? Because this isn't her first controversy, let's like be real for a second. I'm not going to go into detail because that's not what this channel is for, but she was never going to be this muse for anyone, she just wanted the money. We find a muse, we worship them, we remix them, and then we watch them sell out. That is the new art cycle now, isn't it? Like, we pretend every issue with people isn't just a mirror of every other issue. I don't think she is necessarily the problem. I think she is just a symptom of an art world that's merging too fast with marketing. But that doesn't mean she shouldn't be held accountable, because she didn't just make, you know, a tone-deaf decision. She doubled down on it. She ignored the criticism, deflected responsibility, and then kept resharing fan art made by the same community she just disrespected, like nothing happened at all. Honestly, I think it's time we stop feeding that cycle. Maybe we stop turning people into muses who've made it very clear they don't value the artists who build them up. If someone uses art to climb and then sides with the very thing that's replacing artists, they do not deserve to be painted. I know that sounds like really like subtle and passive, but accountability isn't cruelty, it's care for integrity of what we do. The artists who still believe in making something real, it's care. And I don't think Alana is necessarily the problem, I think she's a reflection of one. Because if even our Renaissance Muse is brand partnering with AI, what does that mean for the rest of us, the ones still trying to make something real? So what do you think? Do you believe artists who build someone's image online deserves more respect, or is this just what happens when art meets the algorithm? I'd really love to hear your thoughts on this one. You can drop a comment below or just tell me, do you think we should stop turning people into muses? Or can the internet still have beauty without exploitation? And if you do ever fancy supporting real human-made art, you can find all my prints and originals linked in the description below. Every order genuinely helps me keep creating and keep Unstill Life going. Thank you for listening or watching, and for always caring about the messy, beautiful overlap between art and the world. I'll see you in the next one.